Hello everyone, this is Tony with TerraSky, and today we're going to cover how to use the code block component. Now the code block component is a more advanced component. It's for a developer who understands how to get into the code and really work with some of the more complex topics that exist within Salesforce. It's not for the points and click type of admin. So where you access this component is on the component palette on the left. It's under a section called Developer Only, and you can drag this onto the canvas. Now once you do, you're going to be given a small pop-up window that asks you to put in your custom code. So I'm going to paste in my HTML table that I would like to modify. Now the way this is going to work is as I click OK, it's going to display all of the raw code to me for me to work with and leverage. Now this is handy because if I wanted to, I can minimize the different tags so it's a little easier to work with and identify how the different sections are related to each other. But on top of that, it's expanded out so that if you want to leverage SkyVisualEditor components inside of the tags, you can do that, meaning you can mix and match your custom code and SkyVisualEditor components and still have it managed in a graphical representation. To illustrate this, I'm going to select the table, and then on the right hand side there's an Edit Enter Visualforce tag property. So I click the ellipsis, and it's going to open up this table tag and show me all of the contents that are inside of it. I'm going to add in an additional table row for me to work with. Now, I'm not going to put anything inside of that. It's just going to be an empty tag. And so as you can see, there's now going to be that new HTML tag for the table row. And the next thing I'm going to do is to grab a SkyVisualEditor component and drag it inside of there. So this is how I'm going to represent the two data tables worth of columns inside of this table row. And now at this point in time, I have mixed and matched SkyVisualEditor components and fields inside of my custom code to achieve the appropriate desired effect of 2 columns worth of data. Now this may or may not work with your custom code, so just play around with it and see what you can and can't do and figure out how to get your custom code to work with the code that we produce. But nonetheless, this is an example of how you would go about doing that. Another great thing about this is that you can edit the different properties as needed. So if I select the outer shell, I can double click this and it's going to open up the design environment once again. The top section up here is going to be for any attributes that you would like to add to the code that you're producing. So if you're adding something like custom Apex code, let's say it's a Visualforce map that you're going to add in, then you can add that code in here and then add in the various properties that need to be associated with the Apex map, and off you go. So in this particular case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in inline styling for this. So here I'm going to say border is going to be 10 pixels large and solid black, and then close that out. Oops, if I can type correctly. Solid black, and close that out. And as I click OK, it's now going to paste that property inside of that table tag. An alternative method of doing this is I can select a different area, and there's a property called additional attributes. This is going to give me a key value pairing that produces the exact same result. So I can then click add, choose style for this one, and here I'm going to add in a border that's only 5 pixels and solid red. But nonetheless, the result is going to be the same. It's going to add those properties into this section. Now, an additional thing to point out, let me minimize this, is that if you want to add this component, you can pretty much add it wherever you'd like, including inside of columns of data tables or other areas that may have column or layouts. So there are, I guess, one point to consider, and that is that when you're designing this component, this is going to show the primary root and everything down below. And what I mean by that is if you have code that has multiple root elements, it will be broken into multiple code blocks. For example, if I drag this back onto the canvas, drop it on, and I'm going to paste in 2 tables. This means there are 2 table root HTML elements. And I click OK. What's going to happen is these are actually broken into 2 completely independent code block components for you to manage each root element individually. And this is just for simplicity of working with the code visually, as well as managing and maintaining this inside of SkyVisualEditor. If you want them to be within the same component, create a root element above the two, and then you can have that as an option. So I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.